Hello guys, my name's Stephen Mroso. The brand is WMPOR. You're probably familiar with the slogan, "Let's make West Midlands basketball better." Started this off around 5 years ago because I'm from Birmingham myself and played basketball, and Birmingham basketball was very high quality. I believe it's gone downhill.
Good evening and welcome. This evening it's episode 9 and we're joined by Midlands-based National League and Academy coach Steve Mroso. Good evening, coach. How are you?
How you doing? I'm fine, thank you. Yep.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us. Like I said, it's episode 9, so this is 9 weeks into the show, but it's a very kind of informal show. I say every single week, this is not journalism. This is a very kind of, conversational kind of magazine type show. What we're hoping is that we can share some experiences, some ideas and thoughts about coaching the game of basketball, and maybe provide a little bit of entertainment as we go. So every week we like to start with kind of our introduction to our guests. So Steve and I, we met about 3-4 years ago. I've had the kind of opportunity and the pleasure to work alongside Steve on a couple of projects. And Steve's been involved in the National League for quite a few years. And before I met you formally, I'd seen you on the circuit, but as is often the case after a game, you don't often get a chance to talk to people, or you definitely don't get a chance to talk to the opposition as much as you might like to. Steve, could you start by telling us a little bit about your basketball journey, how you got into the game, kind of what you've done as a player, and eventually how did you get into coaching?
So as a junior, from under 12s to under 18s, played National League for Birmingham Bullets. Also represented the regional for West Midlands, 13s, 15s, 17s. And as a senior, I did go to America for a split, 6 months. I was at Oklahoma University, and then I returned back. I was playing for Curtis Xavier in Nottingham, the South Nottingham College, and he helped me learn the game of basketball via coaching, so got me coaching into the local schools and stuff like that, and my confidence grew. I ended up being a player coach for this, and then on my return back to Birmingham after my degree, I did coach that City of Birmingham Basketball Club, and then I met Nigel Hansen from Birmingham also, and then I coached at Birmingham A's, which is now known as Team Birmingham Elite, and I've ever since.
Excellent. So, look, not all good players necessarily make good coaches. Coaching, generally speaking, is very kind of multifaceted discipline. It requires lots of skills, technical, tactical knowledge, as well as being able, as well as having a good fair share of interpersonal skills, emotional intelligence. With that all said, tell me what you believe are the characteristics that determine whether or not you can be an effective teacher of the game.
Well, first of all, I believe you've got to be a positive role model with your actions. So where a lot of coaches have the knowledge and stuff, but their character, no disrespect, it's not you're telling a kid to act a certain way, but you're not acting a certain way. So my first port of call is you've got to act like a professional. What you expect the kids to do, you're supposed to do. I'm never late. It's very rare that I'm late, and if I am late, everyone's gonna know. Well, my players have a cheer when I'm late, because it's not often, So when they are, that I get upset, because I'm trying to show the model of how you should be. So that's number one for me. Number two, try not to do too much. With basketball, there's a broad perspective. So, if you're trying to show you can do footwear, shooting, dribbling, ball handling, you're all trying to mix it up too quickly. You know, it's not proper development. And I feel I learned this a lot of Curtis Xavier: repetition, repetition, repetition. You know, you keep doing that, you know, then the players, especially at junior level, their confidence increases, and then they feel confident to move on to the next thing that you're trying to deliver.
Excellent. Well, look, Curtis is a big he's somebody that's had a big influence in my coaching development as well. So a big shout out to Coach X. He was actually on the show with us a few weeks ago, and we're planning to have him on again. So yeah, I absolutely know what, you know, he is a real believer in going back to the basics and keeping it simple. And I think you're right, it is very easy to overcomplicate the game and the process of coaching. So we're going to build on that a little bit. I want you to tell me about your coaching philosophy. And when I ask that question, people kind of stop and think, and then they're not sure how much to give and how little to give. But to simplify it, tell me, what does the game of basketball look like when it's played well through your eyes?
Hard work. You know, everything's done via hard work. You know, you're in training, making game situation drills. You know, if you're not doing it in a game situation, I don't expect you to do it in the game. I'm not actually shocked. I know how you train. So when you're doing it like that in the game and a negative result happens, you know, I just look at my players. I'm like, you know, well, you got to do this behind closed doors. And if you work harder, you know, it becomes easier in the long run. So, you know, every time we're doing drills, if I see someone not putting the effort in, you know, no matter how big or small the drill is, you know, I will pull you up for it, because I know it's going to affect you in the game. The willingness for players to learn. So, you know, we all know learning something new, you're not going to pick it up straight away. You know, you got to build confidence in the player to believe that you can always learn something. You know, it's like you gotta create that attitude, because as the kids get older, you know, confidence issues come in and stuff. And I use the saying, like, you've got to act like a baby. You know how they start development in life: crawling, fall over, walking, fall over, running, fall over. And you know, they keep trying until it becomes a normal habit. And that's what we've got to do with junior basketball in order to develop. So, you know, sometimes I am coaching and I'm thinking, have I done enough? You know, like we've done the same stuff for 8 weeks, you know, and I'm just thinking maybe they're getting bored and stuff. But I'm trying. I don't know if it's a bad thing, but I'm kind of like a perfectionist. Until I see, you know, it's confidently done, you know, then I feel comfortable moving on to the next phase of what we're trying to deliver. I'm very passionate on footwork, which my players know. And I actually, like, you know, I tell my players, we're not traveling more than the other team in this game. We are going to handle pressure. We are going to receive the ball properly. Okay, and we're not going to have unforced turnovers via our footwork. Now, of course, some players do it in the game and stuff, but when we go back to training, we can relate to that.
Like, you know, so Team Birmingham Elite. I mean, roughly how many teams does that involve now?
To be honest, we've been a club where we've had to be varied sometimes. So, you know, we have under 14s, under 16s, under 18s. That's usually covered with all the boys. And as you're aware, we've had senior women and senior men. So we're trying to get the balance on the female side just as much as the boys. And with the boys, you know, our 14s just won the league this year. So hopefully they will go into the Premier. Our 18s won the Premier Central. We was runners-up last year, so we're happy about that. And my 16s boys are in the Premier Division as well.
Obviously, you've got coaches coming in from, you know, different backgrounds, different experiences. As a club, to what extent do you try and create a sense of Team Birmingham Elite style basketball? Like, are you guiding that? Is there a kind of Is there a player pathway where all the coaches are teaching similar things, or do you let everybody do their own thing? How does that work?
No, you're absolutely right. So with what you just said in the latter, like we have philosophy. Like Stephen Hansel is the director of the club. You know, his experience is very vast, and he's built at each age group what they should be doing. But we're all delivering from under 14 level, bringing it all the way to under see what the 16s are doing. They know there's just a slight progression. There's nothing too similar. So if someone plays up, they're not like just playing up because they're playing against older players. They know what that team's already doing. You know, and same for the 16s going to the 18s and the 18s going into seniors. It's just slightly progressed each age group. But we all deliver, you know, on our defenses and offenses. We follow the same curriculum. Now, I'm just saying, if a new coach comes in, you know, we support them of what we're trying to do, but we appreciate your uniqueness. So it's not robotic, you must do it this way and say it like this. It's like, these are the outcomes we want, and we want you to use your uniqueness and your qualities to get these outcomes done.
So, to what extent, if any, have you, I mean, firstly, have you seen, actually I've got a copy here, have you seen the player development framework from Basketball England?
Yes.
So to what extent have you adopted some of that, or have you just looked at it and said, well, actually, for the most part, we're doing that anyway, so we're just going to carry on, or have you changed anything?
No, I believe I've read it, and I think it's a great document. I believe not just myself or our club, but I believe majority of the country are trying to do those things. It's just that, you know, what I've looked at from a general manager point of view is like, what I like about the player development is what they should be achieving at each age group. So at under 14s, are our players doing the same stuff in the player development framework? Kids that are not doing as progressing as much, it's our job to get them up there.
We're going to talk a little bit more about some of the kind of recent kind of issues, discourses that are going on. So about 10, 11 weeks ago, the whole country went into lockdown and effectively threw basketball into disarray. You know, we didn't see the outcome, for most of us, we didn't see the outcome of our seasons. So from a coaching standpoint, how has COVID-19 kind of affected you as a coach and your coaching process?
As a coach, you know, like it was a bit upsetting towards the end of the season, being cut short and stuff. But like, what I am proud about is that, like we spoke about earlier, we've set a curriculum of how the players should play. We set that ethos. I'm not too worried of how we're going to return. It's obviously, yes, the kids have missed it and they're not playing, and you know, their mental health and well-being, we've got to make sure everything's okay. But you know, I'm not worried about the return as such. You know, hopefully we can all return. But you know, because we've got the curriculum and model sorted of how we deliver our basketball, I think we'll be able to adjust quickly. Regards to coaching as the club, same thing really. It's like, we're all confident in what we're doing. Bit nervous of how people are going to come back into the sport.
Yeah, and look, we've obviously in the last kind of week to 7 days, we've seen Basketball England's return to play kind of document, which suggests that, you know, I think we're at stage 3 at the moment, which means that we can start to look at some kind of outdoor kind of workouts, and you know, getting no more than 6 people on a court at the same time. Nothing indoor at the moment, which obviously for our sport presents a few challenges. But if the weather continues to play ball, maybe we can get outside and utilise some of these outdoor courts. I know yesterday my club managed to find an outdoor court that is barely used, but yeah, we were able to get a workout in, and there was lots of huffing and puffing and people kind of surprised at where their ball handling skills had gone in the last 10 weeks. So that's going to be, it is going to be a challenge kind of coming back. But I think outdoor basketball is something that isn't massively taken advantage of in this country, from my opinion. I know there are some outdoor courts that are really well used and well established, but I think it's going to force, you know, quite a few people to have to go outdoors and utilize some of those spaces. So that's not entirely a bad thing. And like you, I'm not particularly worried that our players are going to be really far behind, because honestly, the first 3 weeks of lockdown, I think my team probably spoke more than we would speak in a normal week, like getting online. You know, we were doing group workouts. I was feeling the fittest I'd been. It's quite easy to stand on the side of a court and tell your players what to do, but if you're on a Zoom call, you've actually got to do the work at the same time. So those first few weeks, I was feeling like I was getting in shape. Unfortunately, the last few weeks, I've had 2 birthdays. That's at least 2 birthday cakes, most of which I've eaten, I'm not going to lie. So, yeah, I've got a bit of lockdown weight to get rid of. I don't know about you. What have you been up to?
Passing on any positive messages from Basketball England to keep them updated. We have discussed about, you know, playing outdoors and stuff, but it's a bit of a grey area we discussed because of the risk assessment and stuff like that. Like you mentioned earlier, you know, you could go to the court and there's other people there, but they're not playing basketball. You don't have the right. It's a public site, so you don't have the right to say you can move. So it's very difficult to organise. We're happy with the update with the return to play, because I believe we're eligible to actually train indoors, like you said, with 6 people. But issue is the venues. Basketball England have got their legislations, but then the venues have got their own. So when I've contacted them, they've said, well, we've got to do our risk assessments, and as soon as we do that, then we'll give you a call. And it can't be just biased towards basketball too. So, you know, it's like we've got to wait, so they let everybody in, really. So we've just got to wait for the update.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a challenging kind of few months ahead, but I'm confident we are going to get there. We are going to get some kind of new normal. Back to current affairs. Last couple of weeks, I've been kind of forced to curb my social media habit, which is not entirely a bad thing, but I found that I can't enjoy my usual kind of scrolling for life hacks and entertainment and a bit of distraction because of the kind of really strong political messages that are coming through as a result of the George Floyd murder, which it seems to have woke a lot of people. You know, there's a lot of people talking about kind of being anti-racist. And again, we were on a call earlier on today. We were talking pre-show, and you know, one of the things I wanted to make clear is that this is not a political show. We don't, you know, I don't really share my own political kind of point of view because I really want to talk about basketball. But what I do want to do is I want to ask you not from a personal point of view, so I'm not asking your politics or your standpoint, but from a coaching point of view, what do you think you can do to be, you know, you talked a little bit before about being a positive role model. What do you think you can do about helping to educate kids, about trying to, you know, use your platform as a coach and as a role model to help them understand a little bit about social justice, about kind of good character, about positive behavior, positive actions? Where do you see your role as a coach?
Well, I think it's the similar answer to what I said earlier. Like, an example, like, just have a positive character and show. Basketball gives opportunity. It's not just about on the court. There's a lot of off the court attitudes and characteristics that you want to carry over into life. So, if you deliver properly as an organization, you know, like, which I've done for many years now. It's like a lot of the guys that I've coached from under 14s, now that, you know, they've graduated from university, they're on to bigger and better things. And it, you know, and they're happy that, you know, you helped them along the way. Now that goes a long way for me, you know, because, you know, you've been a positive role model in their lives. I've had, you know, guys that I've coached, I now coach their children. You know, they ask me like, oh, when do you coach the under 10s and stuff like that? And, you know, once again, that's another positive thing, because, you know, you're doing the right thing. You know, what I've got to address is that, you know, in Birmingham, it's quite a diverse community. So you can't be too opinionated on your personal feelings. You have to appreciate everybody's feelings, you know. And I know it's a sad situation in regards to George Floyd, but from a club standpoint, we can't get involved in any political standpoint, because, you know, our members have different opinions, and it's not our job to actually make them fixated on how we feel. And I was speaking to Stephen Hansel. We're a black-led organization, so it's not something we have to keep talking about, because the issues that we've been speaking about for many years. So to us, it doesn't feel like it's anything different. It's just what are we gonna do to make it improve?